Joining us right now is JMP Securities President Mark Lehmann. And Mark, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Maria.
Is the market focused on North Korea? What is the thinking behind this rise in tension?
Well, it's been focused on North Korea it seems like every third or fourth day, and it does seem like after those days and a little bit of muted language, it calms down a little bit. I'm hoping we get that as we go into Labor Day and go into the fall, because the market wants to be constructive. I think there's a lot of good things going on with the market, and I hope tensions diminish and we can get back to trading stocks and getting the stock market a little higher.
JP Morgan writes in their morning note that the stock market was catalyzed higher last week by 4 events. Hurricane Harvey leaving a trail of destruction in its wake, but it actually helped de-risk a crucial debt ceiling debate in Washington. The White House and Republicans agreed to delay their showdown battle until December.
I don't think that's inaccurate. I think when we hear Democrats and Republicans talking about doing anything together, the market kind of likes that. And I think there are opportunities for this Congress to work together. Passing an agenda with debt ceiling, with tax reform would be something the market really would like. Yeah. And getting back to earnings growth and getting back to the market working, getting some IPOs to the public markets, those are the things the market really wants to see.
I want to ask you about this United Technologies Rockwell deal. We seem to be living in a moment now of just big monolithic companies. You've got Amazon dominating the retail space, and now you have United making this big deal to dominate the aerospace. What does this mean for investors, and what does it mean for workers when you have so many big companies who just dominate the economic landscape?
Well, I think it means a couple things. One, it means that big companies are having a hard time growing, and they feel like they can grow through acquisition, and they can get more efficient with more workers. I think what you also said about job growth is those usually lead to jobs being lost. Big company mergers usually. Obviously, there's 2 accounting departments, 2 compliance departments, 2 legal departments. I think what it also says is that all the job growth, a lot of the job growth that we've seen has been emerging growth companies. If you look at statistics, the job creation has been through emerging growth companies.
We have less of them now because the big guys are dominating so many of their markets.
Correct.
So from an investor perspective, should they just be putting their chips on the blue chips and not the smaller guys?
Well, I think there's a lot, as you said, there's a lot of investors looking at the big companies. I think of the emerging growth companies, the companies that have gone public, those are some of the biggest winners of our market, have been going public in the last 20 years. You look at all the job creation, you look at all the market cap that's been created. Facebook, Amazon, Google, et cetera, went public in the last 20 years. They're 3 of our largest companies in the world.
Yeah, but let's not forget, I mean, if we were to get tax cuts, certainly on the corporate level, that's going to be a big positive for smaller companies and those Russell 2000 firms.
And I think you're also, JMP, along with other firms, are working with people like the National Venture Capital Association and the Biotech Corporation and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to get more companies to go public, to get regulation to diminish. And that's something, frankly, Democrats and Republicans agreed upon. You look at the Jobs Act 5 or 6 years ago, that spurred innovation and spurred companies going public. We're working on that again. If that happens, you'll see more companies going public. You'll see more job creation.
Mark, if we don't get tax reform, how much does the market care about that?
You know, I'm a little bit more optimistic that something will get done, and
even
I'm also
if it's just tax cuts.
Exactly. I'm a little bit more optimistic that even that will be okay. I think this grand bargain, this thing that people are talking about, is so unlikely because grand bargains rarely happen. That's why they call them grand bargains. I'm much more optimistic that something will get done. The White House needs something to get done. They need, and both parties do. You know, the calendar turns to 2018 very rapidly. That means we're in an election year. People want to see that.
Yeah. Let me ask you real quick about the IPO market, because we've got the streaming device maker Roku looking to go public. The company filed late Friday to become a leader in the streaming wars, going up against Apple, Amazon, Google. What's your take on this IPO? And also, one of your specialties is biotech. We saw a big biotech deal last week. Yeah. Does that open the floodgates of more deals there?
I hope so. That'd be certainly good for JMP and certainly the Lehmann family. But I think importantly, IPOs are where we see innovation, and where we see it not just in tech, but we see it in biotech, like you said. We're seeing more innovation, whether it's in technology. Roku, I think, will have a lot of eyes on it because there's a lot of those cord cutters and never cords that we talk about. But I do think that there is an opportunity with less regulation to get more of these companies public, and we need that. That's what this IPO market really desires, which is more. And I think the buyers are there.
So you would put new money to work in this market?
I would. I think there's opportunities. I think we've seen a little bit of a test on the bottom side. I think bonds, I think bonds are not going a lot higher anytime soon. The bond market at 220 is going to make the stock market look cheap.
Mark, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you so much. Mark Lehmann joining us there. Coming